Hello everyone, my name is Deborah Dominic and I welcome you to another episode of Debbie Inspires. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you another interesting topic titled Patterns of Negative Self-Talk. If you're just joining us, welcome. Please click on the subscribe button to be part of this amazing family. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always being here. So if you're ready like I'm ready right now, let's get right into the video, shall we? Today I'm going to be sharing with you the common patterns of negative self-talk. The first pattern of negative self-talk is filtering. Now, this is a situation where we focus only on the negative aspect of situations, ignoring the positive. For instance, a person who got a parallel A and probably had a C in his result, instead of celebrating the A's he got, the person decides to focus on that particular C. In as much as we can always question negativity or something that does not really look perfect, we should learn to focus our energy on being grateful for the ones that are good. Life is not meant to be perfect, okay? So sometimes we must learn to accept those imperfections and don't let them stop our joy. The second pattern of negative self-talk is the overgeneralization pattern. Now, this is a situation where we turn every mistake or we turn one mistake into a defining statement. For instance, you keep telling yourself that I always fail, I always mess things up and nothing ever works for me. Another example is, for instance, you're looking for money from your friend or from a family member, and at that point, that person does not have. And then you say to yourself, nobody ever helps me. Anytime I seek help, I never get help, blah, blah, blah. That is a negative self-talk pattern, always generalizing failure. The third pattern of negative self-talk that I put down is personalization. Personalization is the process where you blame yourself for everything. You blame yourself even for things that are beyond control. You blame yourself for the traffic. You blame yourself for the weather. You blame yourself for even a cheating partner. Yes, there are situations that are out of our control and we have to learn to recognize them and, if possible, forgive ourselves, forgive the weather. Yes, you don't have to personalize every negativity. Some things can actually happen out of your control. Sometimes we would have even thought of these things and then let them go, but our brains have taken it as an information, and then before you know it, it has taken a negative pattern that may not be helpful to us. The fourth pattern of negative self-talk is the catastrophizing pattern. This is a pattern where you expect the worst from every situation. Seriously, there are people who expect the worst, and if anything good happens to them, it must be a coincidence because they are always expecting the worst. People celebrate failure as if it's a routine, and sometimes if failure does not happen, as if it must have missed road. They cease from expecting the worst. Expect the best. Yeah, expect the best, and if it doesn't happen that way, you take it and keep expecting the best no matter how the situation is. The fifth pattern of negative self-talk is the labeling pattern. This is a pattern of negative self-talk where you label yourself names. You keep hearing people label themselves as people who do not have sense. Yeah, you hear it in Nigeria. You know, say I no get sense. You hear people saying, you know, say I no get sense. You know, say my head they touch. You know, say sometimes I dey get mental problem. All these things, you label yourself with negative things, and by the time you start behaving towards that pattern, you begin to question it when you have been singing it to your brain every time. You hear people labeling themselves lazy, failure, different negative names. If you must label yourself with names, call yourself success. Call yourself hardworking. Call yourself beautiful. Yeah, I've heard people call themselves ugly. No, they are no fine. I'm very ugly. Why? Why? The moment you do that, you are piling up negativity. Stop labeling yourself with negative names. Yeah, you are not. You are everything positive. You are not negative. Okay. The next point on my list, which I consider a negative pattern, is assumption. It is the process where you jump into conclusion about things, about situations without having any proof or fact. Some people are just so good in fortune telling. They don't even try to verify situations. They jump into conclusion. And even if you must conclude, must you conclude on the negative? Reality is always clearer than the assumptions we keep in our head. The seventh point on my list is the perfectionist mindset. These are the people who have the all or nothing mindset. Is premium or nothing. Now, these are people who expect things to be black or white, no gray areas. Are things really meant to be perfect? If they are meant to be perfect, then why aren't they? That's to say, there are instances where things may not be perfect. People with this kind of mindset are people who always set unrealistic goals. They set standard, very high standard, and when they are unable to meet up, they lose it. That is a pattern of negativity. The reason for this, some of these negative patterns from our past experiences or something is bringing about it. So we must learn to correct negative self-talk immediately.